Welcome back. I'm Stephanie Ruhle. The White House says the House Oversight Committee has no business delving into questions about security clearances, calling a recent document request extraordinarily intrusive. The committee had been pushing for more information about the administration's security clearance process for officials, including senior advisor and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Joining me now, former CIA director and MSNBC senior national security and intelligence analyst, John Brennan. Help me understand this, because Elijah Cummings is saying we need this information. It's crucial to the American people. It's a national security issue. And the president is saying, tough nuts. I can do whatever I want.
Well, it is the executive branch's responsibility to grant security clearances to people within the executive branch. But at the same time, the Congress has, I think, a right and a duty to challenge the administration if there are serious questions about the integrity of that security clearance process. And I've never heard of a case in the past, in my experience, of a president even inquiring about a security clearance, much less directing and overruling the agencies to give members of his family a security clearance.
But to the average person, they could say this is just palace intrigue stuff. This is former administration officials who don't like the Jared side of the House just trying to stir up problems. And the average person at home could say, why do I care? Why should they care?
Well, because the investigators, whether it be in CIA or FBI or other parts of the intelligence community, are professionals. They're not political appointees. They are people who know their business very well. And frequently, if an individual has foreign entanglements, particularly on the financial front, it raises questions about the potential for compromise of these individuals. And so it sounds, I don't know if what the reports, the factual basis of these reports, but if in fact they were denied those clearances, it had to be for a significant reason and something that could not be resolved. Now, it doesn't mean that Ivanka Trump and Jared have done anything wrong. It just means that the nature of their relationships overseas raise questions, serious questions, and questions that cannot be surmounted in the minds of the investigators.
My question then is, why lie? If the president has said, I actually think we have the sound where he told the New York Times in January he had nothing to do with any of this. Do we have that?
Do you tell General Kelly or anyone else in the White House to overrule security officials, the career?
No, I don't think I have the authority to do that. I'm not sure I do, but I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Jared's a good. I was never involved with the security.
Then that was back in January. Then the New York Times reported just last week that it was in fact Trump who ordered to give Jared clearance. So let's say I believe the president at his word. He didn't have anything to do with it, and then suddenly he did. Why would he be lying? That's what makes someone like me concerned.
You're asking me why Donald Trump lies? That's the question of the ages.
If he wanted to say, Jared Kushner's my guy, this is my homeboy, this is who I trust, give him clearance, I could say, I get it. But what he's doing now, I didn't do it, I did do it. What would be the reasoning?
Well, I think because he knows it's wrong. Because he knows that it was the considered determination of the intelligence community, of the CIA, not to grant that clearance. And John Kelly and Doug McGahn and others said you should not grant that clearance. First of all, it's nepotism at the highest level. But also, it is doing something that flouts that security clearance process.
But we have no evidence that Jared or Ivanka has done anything wrong. Yet Ivanka said it was just 3 weeks ago she was asked about this to ABC News, and she said we had nothing to do with it.
I think that's why Elijah Cummings and others on the Hill are asking, well, what's the deal? Is there something really serious? Because if there is something very serious, and they do have those clearances, and they continue to have access to this country's most sensitive secrets, something is wrong. And yes, a president of the United States has the authority to grant or to revoke clearances at his or her whim. It doesn't mean that it's right to do. A president of the United States has extraordinary authorities to do so much. He could launch war, against our partners and allies in Europe. That doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. So just because he has the authority, I think John Kelly, who is, a very, respected individual who served this country for many, many years, if he stood up against this decision, I think there was basis for it. I'm sure John Kelly and others understand what the issue is.
But doesn't that take you back to a little bit of the palace intrigue drama? John Kelly served this president. And you could say now he was doing it for the betterment of the country, but John Kelly was also the enemy to Jared Kushner in the White House. So are we falling back into that palace intrigue trap? It's the Kushners versus the Kellys and everyone trying to say, I'm here for the betterment of this nation.
Well, I know John Kelly well, and he is not a partisan or a political type. He may have had disagreements, serious disagreements with Jared. That doesn't mean that he was trying to undermine him. I know there are the rumors out there about the deep state and all of these efforts to undermine Trump and his, cronies and family. That is not the case. And particularly the CIA, if the decision was not to grant them clearances, that was based on something substantive, something real. There was nothing in there, I am certain, that was designed to score political points against Donald Trump.
And you had your security clearance revoked. Was there any substantive reason they gave for that, or it's simply that you're critical of the president and he doesn't like that?
I think it's the latter. I have not heard anything from the government except Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing from the podium that they were revoking my security clearances.
That's how you found out, and nothing further?
I didn't hear anything before or after from the government on this issue.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.